speech, who most likely is joining us online. Christian Schlehuber, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, hi Christian, nice to see you. Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon everybody. Guten Tag an die deutschen Kollegen. Thank you very much for having me here. It is a pleasure to give a short overview about the upcoming IEC standard 63452 that has been teased already by Miki before. And it is in fact an evolution of the TS 50701 that we developed some years ago on a European level and will then be the first global cybersecurity standard for railway systems. Quickly about myself, so Christian Schlehuber is my name. I'm currently secretary of this working group that's working on this 63452, and in my paid life I'm managing director of CyberShield, which is a company focused on ICS cybersecurity. I have a quite good history in railway so far. So from 2015 on, I had several OT security related positions at Deutsche Bahn. In 2017 was appointed as the convener of this working group 26, which then developed the TS 50701 over the next 4 years. And briefly before the standard was finished, I also started my company here, and now since almost a year I'm supporting my colleague Serge Benoliel as the secretary of the working group, the IEC1. So, what happened so far? As mentioned, the IEC working group is developing something for cybersecurity in railway level. To establish something like this, you usually need to have some new work item proposal, which then describes how everything should fit together, what the scope is of this work, and so on. This was provided early 2022 and was with 100% of the national committees approved. And the project title that you see on the screen was assigned. It is quite general. It is just railway application cybersecurity. And the goal is not that far away from what you already know from the TS 50701. In fact, it is establishing a standard for handling cybersecurity for the whole railway sector, just not anymore for the European market, but for global scale. And it should all be covered what is in the TC9 scope, which is then, of course, signaling, rolling stock, fixed installations, also telecommunications that are part of the system should be covered, and so on. So really, it should be one standard for all systems. And as already done with the TS 50701, it will be based on the IEC 62443, with, of course, some adjustments and adaptations to the railway context. What is quite obvious during this project setup, it was directly decided to take the TS 50701, which was developed at European level, as input, and develop it further and extend the content. How is the working group currently organized? It is a quite big team. We have now outreached the numbers of the standard working groups since, I think, 2 months. Currently, there are 109 members of 19 countries taking part. We have also ERA as an observer. We have UITP, and currently some more liaisons are on the way. And this can be quite challenging because you somehow have to build consensus between all of these participants. But in the end, it is quite important to have them all represented in the working group, because if you now miss several positions, then you craft a document which afterwards will be, let's say, seen negative by parties because they might be underrepresented. So a bit about the timeline, that you know what to expect and when the document should arrive. The kickoff happened mid of last year. A committee draft was issued some months ago. Currently, the commenting phase is running, and the comments should be submitted by national committees, I think, mid of next week, if I remember it right. And afterwards, the working group will go into the working phase again, check what comments arrived, work on them, improve the document, make a new version, which is then summer 2024, put into a vote version, and hopefully this vote will be positive, and then we have the final standard ready in around July 2025. As you might already expect, you cannot do meetings with 109 persons at the same time to discuss content. First of all, not all of the 109 are participating always, but usually we have about 30 to 40 people attending the meetings. And due to this, we also structured everything into sub-working groups, working on specific topics like operation maintenance or architecture, things like this. And due to this, we spread a bit this whole group. Everybody works on topics that makes sense, and then everything is joined together in the end and discussed in the General Assembly meetings of the team. So I think most of you should be aware of the TS 50701 already. Just in case you are not, this is a brief reminder on what happened there. So in the time from 2017 to 2021, the working group was active and worked on building this European standard, which was based and which was also the aim to be based on the 62443 for security concepts, and at the same time taking the 50126, which is applied for safety engineering and RAMs, as a base for life cycles and so on, because most of the railway stakeholders have some processes for the standard in place, and it's easier to adjust these or to add on top of these processes cybersecurity instead of saying, hey, you do your life cycle, we do our life cycle, and then somehow find a way how to integrate them. And I think it works quite well. The 50701 has a table for this, which shows in which phase which activities should be done, what are handover points, and so on. And as well, the document provided some high-level architecture model, which was really the aim to make this document available for all potential readers, because you can on the one hand have the railway experts who have no real clue about cybersecurity or just some limited view. For them, this chapter might be something I know these systems, but you might also have some guys who are from the cybersecurity department who just roughly understand railway, and there you need to somehow build a common ground for discussion, and this was the aim of this part. Besides, you can find there some notes on how to implement requirements, what design principles should be applied, and also how to handle legacy systems. But these are more parts of the annex, which can be used as sort of a best practice and guidance during some projects that you have to run. On this document, there have been 2 reports, one from Unity and one from that has been published. You can find them under the links that have been attached. So it's, I think the document was very well received. Now, what is the change between move the TS as it is to an IC level? First of all, most important thing is not all the international stakeholders were represented during the European work. Due to this, we have to also discuss with them if this fits their expectations. And also, we are going to improve several things that were not so good in the 50701. Just some highlights from the slide. Due to timing, I will be rather short. If you work with the 50701, there are lots of requirements which are just in the text, where you have to scroll over the text or search where you find requirements. This is now changed with the 62452. You have a clear structure of how requirements should look like. They are really visible and you cannot miss them, which makes it easier also during acceptance and certification activities. The interfaces of the document have been switched to the IEC orders of the documents that were used. And quite interesting is that the parts that were removed during the commenting phase from the 50701 are included again now with a more mature state, meaning that now the document also will give guidance on how to maintain cybersecurity in a system that is out there. So how to do vulnerability management, how to do patch management, also how to do security decommissioning. So there will be requirements on these points, some guidance, And of course, also other points of the document are extended, and in order to give more guidance to the reader and user of it. So what has been achieved so far? The document is, I think, a quite good improvement already of the 50701. There have been 66 formal requirements identified. There were also lots of hidden requirements in the 50701 where you had to read the text carefully to understand that this really is a requirement, which I think most will agree is not good if you have to certify something, because it gives lots of room for interpretation. And yeah, this is still ongoing work. As mentioned, we have periodic workshops. One thing that is quite important is for all the draft versions, we have dedicated working groups that also work on internal commenting of the document, and then also on some language tasks to really bring it to a good and readable language. So editing work and so on during all phases. What is up now to some is, as mentioned, the national committees are now commenting this document, and mid-December I received them also from our body that is managing the working group, and then we will try to integrate all of them starting from January after a review and prioritization phase, and then of course also answer and provide a new draft. So maybe a brief overview on what you can expect from the document. This is a peek into the structure, just very high level. So there is at the beginning still a chapter about the system overview for railways. So how does it look like? Quite similar to what we have already in the Senelec document. But there are also some additions like specification of shared security services and things like this to show what could be implemented. Then in a new chapter, which is completely new, this is also about how you should do cybersecurity management in the organization before applying the IEC document to a specific project or system. And then we continue with the life cycle definition, which is now clear in a requirement structure. Afterwards, performing risk assessment. So it follows the whole life cycle that we know from the 50126, with then also having the security requirements and guidance on assurance processes, and now finally a good and useful operational and maintenance chapter, which should cover almost all things, also how you should update the cybersecurity case during the lifetime of a system, how you perform risk management during the lifetime of a system, at which points it is advised to do this, how also to take care of security monitoring, such things. And of course, until now, the annexes are still there, while there might be some discussion how to handle them. But this is a topic which will be discussed after all the comments from the national committees on European level have been received. Yeah. And just as a last point, this is the requirement structure that is now followed during this document. You see there is a clear identifier of the requirements with a title. Then there is the requirement text. And afterwards there is some rationale or guidance why this should be like this, and maybe also how to do it. So really make it and bring it in a structured way in order to make the standard as useful and as usable as possible. And yeah, just some thing that will also make it even more useful, and I hope even more better to apply it. As with the TS 54701, if you wanted to develop a system, you had to check which requirements are in the text and so on. Now, the first step is to bring it to the former shown requirement structure, but also the standard will contain a requirement table at the end, which lists all the requirements that you have with the requirement IDs and the required text that you need for using this at the end, that you can just also use this as sort of a quick reference. Just check this annex, which requirements are there, okay, and then either you read the rational guidance or not. But it makes it quite fast, applicable, and I hope also useful for everyone who reads it. And this brings me already to the end of the presentation, so thank you very much. And in case if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Serge or myself, and maybe a call for action for all of you who are not participating to the work group and are interested in this topic. Reach out and we can also give you some guidance how to join those activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you.